Now, for the best talk in town, it's the Jane Norris Show.
Hello and welcome to the Jane Norris Show. If you're talking about it out there, we talk about it here and give you a chance to talk back. Today we're going to talk more about Addison is our guest, and he works with an organization called Petite. What's that, George? Hi, welcome to the show, first of all.
Thank you. Petite stands for Positive Images That Invoke Self-Esteem, and basically it's an organization that deals with at-risk juveniles and children ages 7 through 17. We're based out of the Presbyterian Community Center over in Hancock, which is part of Shepherd Square, which is now known as one of the deadliest areas in the city.
So when you say you're a youth advocate, do you mean that if kids are in trouble with the law, or they've broken the law, or they're having a rough time in school, they get referred to you?
All of the above. I deal with kids who basically have been considered as, you know, dead-end kids, not much hope, not much of a future. And what I try to do is show them that there is hope, how to revalue their own lives, first of all, and how to move forward with the resources that are at hand for them.
So there's no one solution. There is no one problem. Every kid is an individual, no doubt.
Correct. And I think that that's the important thing that must be remembered at all times. I've worked in cities such as Miami and Los Angeles, and I've dealt with inner city kids for quite some time now. And here in Louisville, I try to remind people that this is still a budding small community, and there are a lot of good things going forward. And in its rush to become a world-class city, I think that they need to not forget the human element in dealing with their children, who one day will eventually be running the city.
Are they growing pains? Are we seeing an influx of people from the outside who are causing trouble? Or is it just an internal problem, catching up with the rest of the world in terms of, you know, what? Well, I guess with Quinton Hammond, it was a robbery attempt.
Right, right.
That's what we believe anyway.
Right, well, and that's still being looked into. But, you know, I think that some of all those elements that you mentioned are part of the problem here. One, I think that the influence of the media as far as music videos and films and play a large role in it. I know that, for instance, there are a couple of rap stars who a lot of the so-called gang members really look up to heavily. Master P, Little Kim, those individuals, they have a big influence. Then also you have to look at the fact that a lot of the people that I get feedback from tell me that they don't really have much hope in their political leaders and their religious leaders, and they tend to feel like they're kind of knocking their own way through without really knowing what road to be on.
You feel like the money that does go into stopping youth violence really doesn't make it to the people who are supposed to get it, that it somehow gets stopped along the pathway?
Well, my perception is that when you look at the bureaucracy that issues out those dollars, they're probably doing the best they can do with the structure they have to work with. A number of individuals in the community who put their life on the line every day, who have yet to be funded by any organized city or state agency, you know, never see those dollars. And they've been doing tremendous work against the odds, so to speak. And then it frustrates them when they see agencies and organizations they feel aren't really out there on a day-to-day basis all of a sudden get huge grants and awards.
Let me talk to you about a couple of common solutions that are often thrown out. More police.
I don't think that that's necessarily where we need to be focused. For an example, over in Shepherd Square, I know probably about half a dozen officers who can go over in Shepherd Square and could probably keep things under control very well. They have very good rapport with the community, with the individuals in the community, but very seldom are those individuals ever utilized in that community. There are always other people brought into the community to police an area, and they have no ties. And as a result, what happens a lot of times whenever there's any incidents or confrontations, they kind of build up animosity towards those people that are over there really.
So they're not
going to
cooperate even if they had information.
Right.
Get tougher on juvenile crime.
Well, I think you can get tough. I believe in being tough, but I think you have to understand that toughness also must be accompanied by fairness. To get tough on one group of kids and not get tough on another group, that tends to lead to discrimination down the road. And I think that kids can respect you if you're tough with them, but as long as they come away with a sense of that you're fair as well.
Crack down on small things, curfew violations, problems in school, and you'll get rid of the bigger ones.
Well, I think that if you actually allocate more opportunity for those kids that they consider unrecyclable to get an education, starting with reading, there are probably about 80 to 85% of the kids that go through the juvenile system can't read. They're illiterate. And a lot of that deals with self-esteem issues, and when you can't compete academically, A lot of them resort to physical activities to kind of demonstrate their ability
But
to do
George,
things.
how do you get through school and get to be 14 or 15 and not be able to read?
That's a miracle I'm still trying to actually outline.
So that's a failure. I mean, in our education system, these kids are not identified as not being able to read, or they're just passed through and ignored?
Well, you know, it's not just the school's fault.
No.
It's you know, I work in the schools also, and I work with the young kids, but it's basically the family structure, the community structure, our institutions need to develop a philosophy of where they can be more flexible in working with these problems versus being entrenched in the same old mindset that if they do this a little harder, if they increase police vigilance here and there, that these things will go away. These things are not going to go away. They have to also understand that the kids we're dealing with are not literal. They're a visual generation. And so they take more information in via the computer, via TV, films, and so forth, whereas our generations, we taught, you know, we really appreciate
We read the
book.
newspaper. You can see them all spread out here in front of my desk.
Yeah.
And I mean, really, probably you and I were the first television generation. We watched those little black and white pictures on TV, and that's probably part of my fascination with the whole TV situation. But when you say that they can't read, that's very troubling to me, because it means a general lack of education.
Well,
and how can you possibly go on and get any decent job in this country, any decent job at all? Even making change at a fast food store is impossible without reading.
You can't do anything without reading, and that's the problem. When these kids get before a judge in juvenile court, I would be surprised if a good third of them can actually spell their name or know where their address is, and they're 12 and 13-year-olds. I mean, I come across kids right now who are like 7 and 8, and they can't tell me where they live. You know,
they can't tell you the address.
Right, and I go to their homes and I tell their parents, I say, look, write the address down, the names of who's in this house, put it in the kid's pocket. So if anything ever happens, at least we know where this kid will go back to, because he doesn't know or she doesn't know where she lives.
That's unbelievable.
Yeah, it is. It's frightening.
All right, we'll come back with more from George Addison and your telephone calls, too, about what's causing the juvenile crime and what we can do about it. 571-JANE, 1-888-800-9283. Back in a moment.